and Muchova of Czechia on Wednesday. Venus Williams advanced to the quarterfinals of the doubles competition at the U.S. Open. The 45-year-old Venus and Leylah Fernandez beat Ekaterina Alexandrova and Zhang Shuai 6-3 and 6-4. Venus and the 22-year-old Fernandez had never played together before this year's U.S. Open. They will play in the quarterfinals today against Taylor Townsend and Katerina Siniakova. You can catch today's doubles match live on ESPN at 1 p.m. Pacific Time. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
KBLA Talk 1580. God is a genius. And that's one of the things that makes it a little bit easier to do a pledge of courage each and every day, no matter what's happening in Washington, no matter what's happening in Moscow, no matter what's going on in Kyiv. A pledge to be courageous. Courage is contagious. And God is indeed a genius. So I stand on that. I stand on that. And it's our national hour. Phone lines are open, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. If you want to say a thing about a thing, I'd love to hear from you. So many different things to address right now. While we're on sports, I did watch Naomi Osaka versus Coco Gauff. What a great match. It's true, Coco struggled a little bit, but we're still talking about incredible talent. We're still talking about the top of the top, right, of athleticism. And tennis is a tricky game, so it's not just athleticism, but intellect, right? And these two beautiful black women faced each other on the biggest stage at one of the biggest tournaments in the world. They were on Arthur Ashe Stadium. At the U.S. Open. And, of course, Coco Gauff is the American, so she had the crowd, even though Naomi Osaka has lots of love, I would say, in this country. But there was so many things about it that I found inspiring. First of all, seeing these two women and all the love they were getting. I've been watching tennis for a pretty long time, especially women's tennis. I really like it, because it's fun to watch, but also because of Venus and Serena, right? They're the reason that I started watching tennis. Venus and Serena Williams, two beautiful, brilliant, and incredible athletic women that are GOATs. So that got me to understand tennis and start watching it. And I've actually had the opportunity to see Venus and Serena live in person at a tournament, which, wow. Like, you think that their athleticism is impressive on TV, watch it in person. The grace, the agility, the speed, the power. Whoa. Just inspiring. I'm one of these dorks that watches football or tennis and then goes and works out because I get inspired by the people, even though, of course, I'm not a world-class athlete. But I'd be like, I'm Jerry Rice. I'm Serena. And that gets me off my butt, and that so there's that part. I actually did, after the match, I actually did go and walk for an hour and a half and get my steps in. Okay, so there's that part. There's the part that when I started watching women's tennis in the early days of Venus and Serena, we were not welcome. And by we, right now, I'm talking about black women. We were not welcome. And it was clear that we were not welcome, not just by the response of the crowd, but by the way the commentators would talk about Venus and Serena in just the most racist terms, microaggressions right and left in the commentary. I used to sit there and get mad. I'd be yelling at the commentators at my TV while watching the match. And a lot of that has been purged from the sport. Now, I'm sure it's still there. I don't live in that space. And you saw the whole controversy around Taylor Townsend, who actually lost her match, but she had a great tournament and was super classy in the spotlight. So we know that the microaggressions and things are still there, but it's just so much better than it used to be. It's like the announcers have all been trained not to say certain things, or maybe I don't know what they did, but somehow they're better. And you see, the most anticipated match of the whole tournament, or among them, I don't know enough about the men's side to say of the whole tournament, but definitely of the women's side, was Goff versus Osaka. That's why they put it on the main stage. That's why it was on, was featured on TV. That's why, because everyone wanted to see that match. That was one of the highlights of the whole tournament. The other thing that I found great about it was the fact that Naomi Osaka, remember in 2021, she took time out. She dropped out of the French Open, Roland Garros, the official name of it, because of her mental health issues. And a lot of people were criticizing her and talking smack. And then she turned it around and made it into where a lot of us stood with her, and she turned around and made it into where she became a major advocate for mental health awareness and mental health care for professional athletes. Now, that was followed by Simone Biles taking a similar stance, getting the same kind of crap for prioritizing her own health. And what I love is that both of these women were able to come back and dominate, right? Naomi Osaka looked amazing yesterday. She was relaxed. She had her super cute, sparkly hip-hop tennis gear from, representing, making Nike look good. She had her blinged out Labubu, her Billie Jean bling Labubu. I mean, she was just in her power, and I love to see that. I love to see it always, but I love to especially see it with somebody who stepped away from tennis at a young age, because Naomi Osaka's only 27 now, so 2021, she was 23 when she stepped back from the game and said, I need time for mental health. Then she went and had a baby, which, women in tennis are doing now. I love that for them too. It used to be you couldn't have a baby because it was going to impact your chances as an athlete. And these women are saying, well, I want to have a kid, so I'm going to have to bounce back. Shoot, you remember Serena even, won major tournaments pregnant. So they're doing the doggone thing. So she went for her mental health. She went and had a baby. And now she's back and she's at the top of her form. And to me, it sends a message, not just to professional athletes, to all of us. If you need to step back for your mental health, then step the heck back. Because your career, the world, tennis, whatever it is, will be there waiting for you when you come back. And when you return, you'll be stronger, more focused, more relaxed. If you go and get the help you need, you'll come back like Simone. You'll come back like Naomi. And when I see what can happen in that intense heat of the spotlight if you don't take care of your mental health, a la Lil Nas X, it's a reminder that no one else is going to do that for you. You know when you're about to snap, flip, trip, dip, and you got to step back. In the big picture, it's going to be better for you. You can be like Biles and come back and win again. You can be like Osaka and come back and win again. And so I was very inspired and very happy to see that. And some people were saying Coco Gauff fell apart. Well, she did have a bunch of double faults on serve. She did look tight. She looked tight, like the weight of the world was on her shoulders. But she got a new coach. They changed her doggone serve like 3 days before the tournament. Tried to change her forehand right before this tournament. So she'll be fine. She's 21. She's got time to regroup. She's been winning since she was 15. Obviously, she's one of the greats. So she'll be fine. This just wasn't her moment. She was in a coaching and technical transition, probably stressed out, trying to deal with that, overthinking, and she'll be fine. And then she ran up against Naomi Osaka, who was in her power. It was a reminder to all of us to stay in our power. Don't give our power away. Molly Bell said in the chat that she was worried about the Olympics because of Trump and their immigration raids and their weird policies about visas, denying visas to all kinds of people that we actually need here. But okay, I don't know if this is any comfort. The president has said that he will not create problems. He's pledged to those countries, which is every country, that the Olympics will go forward without a hitch. We'll see. Fahima just sent me an article about how he's chairing a new Olympic task force that's meant to calm people down because of the 2028 Olympic Games. And he had signed an executive order last month to create this task force, and so that they could, calm people down about the Olympics. I wonder if that's helpful. I think if he wasn't sitting on the task force, it would probably be more reassuring. This guy changes his mind every minute, and he's so erratic. And I think the test case is going to be the World Cup. The World Cup is next year, right in the middle of all these raids. And it's so ironic because the World Cup really is a World Cup. It could be anywhere in the world. Why is it in the United States this year, in the middle of the ice renaissance, if you will, the ice dark ages? And so we'll see. Because it's not just the players that come for the World Cup, it's tourists who want to see the World Cup. And if you look at the tourism numbers in LA, in Palm Springs, in Vegas, they're all down drastically because of Trump's immigration policy. So here you have a situation where the administration's policies are impacting businesses' bottom lines. And so they're going to have to find a way to fix it. We can't get out of the Olympic Games if you're one of those folks that wants to, unless you shut down the whole thing, because we signed a contract. The contract allows the International Olympic Committee to cancel on us, but we are not allowed to cancel on them. So technically, the Olympics are coming. So the question is, what will we do to make it successful? And is this president's getting enough pressure from his billionaire friends to make ICE back off and issue those doggone visas? There's so many countries they don't even give visas to anymore. Well, those countries need to compete. So what y'all gonna do? 800-920-1580. That's my number when I'm on the air at KBLA. Love to hear from you. Always, we are unapologetically outspoken, unapologetically progressive, unapologetically black. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-297-1563 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-297-1563. That's 800-297-1563. What do you have to lose? Call 800-297-1563. Again, 800-297-1563.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's.
The Parkinson's Foundation knows that the disease doesn't just affect the diagnosed. It affects everyone who supports and helps care for them.
If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers.
We can help you understand the disease
and give you tips for living a better life.
Find your answers at parkinson.org or call 1-800-473-4636. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives together.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in experience and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
1455 Frazee, San Diego. CordellCordell.com.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Alrighty, well, a federal judge today said that Trump is not allowed to deploy the National Guard or any other military troops here in the state of California to do law enforcement jobs, including making arrests, doing searches, or even crowd control. This is because of a lawsuit that was filed this summer by the state of California, challenging Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump's deployment of the National Guard and the Marines here in Los Angeles. And now, if you think about it, the president has already said he was going to send the National Guard to San Francisco and Oakland. But the judge says no. He says it's a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, which says that military forces do not get to do domestic law enforcement. The judge even said he can't do other deployments in other cities because it would create a national force with the president as its chief. Of course, our governor was tweeting about it this morning. Donald Trump loses again in all caps. But this is actually really great news for cities. It's not going to, I don't know how it impacts D.C. because since D.C. is not a state, it's still a city. Not sure how that works because they don't have the same protections. However, it's still a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. So we'll see how that plays out. White House not commenting on this. But it's a big win for California, and I think it's a big win for democracy, for our principles of democracy. The Congress is back in session today. They get a 6-week break. Who gets a 6-week vacation? I guess little kids, you get summer break, from school. But what grown person with a pension? Anyway, they're back today. And they are back with problems. They got some problems. Government shuts down October 1st if they don't get some kind of budget passed. So here we go again. Why does it feel like we go through this? We relive this story. It's like every 6 months to a year. It's Groundhog Day. Can we fund the government and work on our other problems? That's their number one issue in terms of time, because it comes up October 1st, but maybe not, because there is a press conference scheduled for the day after tomorrow with the victims of the Epstein pedophilia ring. This is Representative Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna. They're having a news conference with the survivors of Epstein's pedophile ring. They're trying to get signatures on a petition to force a floor vote on a measure that would force the release of those Epstein files. That's not what Mike Johnson, the speaker, wants to do, but if they can get enough signatures on that petition, they can force that measure to go up for a vote. House Oversight members are supposed to meet with those victims today. Actually, I guess the press conference is, day after tomorrow. Maybe it's tomorrow. I don't know. It says the 3rd, but then they're saying Wednesday. So either way, it's coming up. And then you've got the Oversight Committee, which has subpoenaed the Epstein estate. Now, this is a committee that's led by Republicans. They've subpoenaed the Epstein estate, and they're hoping to get those documents by September 8th. So this is all coming up in the next week. The former labor secretary is going to appear before that committee behind closed doors because he served as the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida when that office made a deal with Epstein so he could avoid federal prosecution for sex trafficking. So all that is happening this week. Epstein all week long. Congress is back in session. No way to keep avoiding it. And then they've got some nominees that the Trump administration is trying to push through. And the Republicans are saying they're going to change the way nominees are confirmed. I guess that is so that they can speed up nominations. They've got more than 100 nominees in the pipeline. Let's go to Fred calling us from LA. Good morning, Fred. Fred, you there? Okay, maybe not. Maybe not going to Fred from LA. Fred may have called me at 800-920-1580. You're allowed to do the same. Encouraged to do the same. If you have something you would like to speak on, I would love to hear from you. Epstein and a government shutdown in 1 week is a whole lot, but that is what we're up against. Did you hear about this? They had a job fair for ICE. If you want to be an ICE kidnapper, you could go to this job fair. It was in Arlington, Texas. And amazingly, thousands of people came to this thing wanting to be ICE agents. And, they're lowering the standards for what it is they need in order for you to become an ICE agent. At the same time, they're offering all these things, perks like a $50,000 bonus and erasure of student loan debt. So they say they've received 130,000 applications so far. This is going through the Department of Homeland Security. 3,000 people showed up at a job fair. Of course, who knows, if any of these folks qualify even with the lower standards. But it's amazing to me that for all of the disdain for these folks showing up with masks on their faces, snatching people off the streets, even people who are citizens, with all the pushback, still this many people want this job. I think it has something to do with the fact that, inflation is high, the minimum wage is low, and people are willing to do a lot just to get money right now. They are rolling back help for, student loans for everybody else. And so I can see why it's tempting. Nevertheless, I hate that so many people show up trying to do this job, which is clearly a problem, right? In terms of, you're basically being asked to forego people's rights and just go ahead and arrest them, snatch them off the street for no apparent reason, even people who are citizens of the United States. This woman, Tatiana Martinez, apparently she's a social media influencer. She got snatched off the streets in Los Angeles. She actually was in a standoff with federal agents while live streaming to her audience, and she was pulled out of her Tesla by federal agents as she's live streaming on TikTok. And she says the reason that she didn't come out of her car is because there were masked men. They said they had a warrant and she wanted them to show the warrant. She said, "Show me the warrant." They never did. That's according to her attorney, Carlos Jurado. He says she was parked at her own building in downtown LA, and that he believes the reason that they arrested her was because she was using her platform to report ICE activity. She's got like 50,000 followers, and she was using her platform to warn people about ICE. That she was then confronted by ICE. That sounds retaliatory. It sounds very problematic in terms of, her rights, due process, et cetera, et cetera. But she is apparently still in ICE custody. She's from Colombia. She's been here about 4 years, and they've taken her into a detention center. So we'll see what happens with that. It sounds like she is here legally, but not a citizen. But this idea that you're warning people about ICE and then here comes ICE to retaliate, it reminds me of Immigration and Customs rolling up on Governor Newsom when he was having a press conference. It's like they're a personal army for someone rather than a government law enforcement agency. 800-920-1580 if you want to weigh in. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Michael Hardaway, the black former aide to House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, says Democrats are strategizing after RFK Jr. fired CDC Director Susan Menares for resisting his vaccine agenda.
RFK Jr. seems to have no idea what he's doing here as it relates to keeping the American people safe and healthy.
RFK Jr. will testify Wednesday before the Senate Finance Committee on Trump's health care plan amid growing calls for his removal. Tia Bell, a black 27-year-old mother of 9, was shot and killed last Thursday night in Chicago's East Garfield Park. She was standing outside with a man when a gunman opened fire. Bell died at Mount Sinai Hospital, and no arrests have been made yet. And Coco Gauff is out of the U.S. Open. The number 3 seed lost in straight sets to number 23 Naomi Osaka. It's Osaka's first Grand Slam quarterfinal since 2021. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, they've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself. Shop your local Nissan store and NissanUSA.com today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Naomi Osaka is playing like a Grand Slam tennis champion again. Osaka, the number 23 seed at the U.S. Open, eliminated Coco Gauff, the number 3 seed. Osaka needed only 64 minutes to beat Gauff, 6-3 and 6-2. Gauff had 33 unforced errors. Osaka, a 4-time Grand Slam champion, is in the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam event for the first time in 4.5 years. She faces Karolina Muchova of Czechia on Wednesday. Venus Williams advanced to the quarterfinals of the doubles competition at the U.S. Open. The 45-year-old Venus and Leylah Fernandez beat Ekaterina Alexandrova and Zhang Shuai 6-3 and 6-4. Venus and the 22-year-old Fernandez had never played together before this year's U.S. Open. They will play in the quarterfinals today against Taylor Townsend and Katerina Siniakova. You can catch today's doubles match live on ESPN at 1 p.m. Pacific time. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Agnes was in deep trouble with the IRS.
I owed the IRS a lot of money. I did not know what I was going to do. I was scared.
Agnes caught a break and found out about Optima Tax Relief.
But when I called Optima Tax, they guaranteed me that they were going to help me out the best that they can. And they did.
Optima stopped the IRS.
No more telephone calls, no more letters. Optima Tax took care of everything. I can finally sleep at night. I was stress-free.
Agnes was finally free from her IRS nightmare.
It was like a burden was lifted off of me, and it was a great feeling.
Are you in deep trouble with the IRS? You might want to listen to Agnes.
I would refer Optima Tax Relief to anyone because they got me debt-free from owing the IRS any more money.
Call Optima right now for your free consultation. Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Thinking about going electric? Now is the perfect time. Electric vehicles cost less to run, don't need gas, and need fewer repairs than gas-powered cars. You can also save with federal and state tax credits, and in some areas, qualify for rebates on home charging stations. To learn more, visit www.breathesocal.org. That's www.breathesocal.org.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilmember Curran Price, inviting you to the 30th anniversary of the Central Avenue Jazz Festival, Saturday, September the 20th, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. We've got 4 pavilions, 3 stages of live music, plus food, fun, and a marketplace all along historic Central Avenue between MLK Boulevard and Vernon Ave. Our featured acts this year are Gregory Porter, Pancho Sanchez, and Jasmine Horn at the 30th anniversary of the Central Avenue Jazz Festival, Saturday, September 20th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. along Central Avenue between MLK Boulevard and Vernon Avenue. Come out and bring the whole family because this legendary celebration is free. For more information, go to centralavjazzfest.com. I'm LA Councilmember Curran Price, and I absolutely approve this message.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Loss Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of black land loss before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandloss.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
You are, and if you were trying to get through and having a little trouble, try me again, 800-920-1580. We were having an issue. Miles fixed it. So, yay. We are back in business if you got something to say. Just taking a look at what's going on the national landscape, in international and beyond. And, yeah, it's a lot as usual. The Trump administration has relaxed restrictions on these toxins called phthalates. It's phthalates, but I think you don't say the P. Anyway, there are these chemicals that are in a lot of products like bubble bath and various different kinds of health products, beauty products. They were restricted by government regulations. Now he's backing off of that. These are the chemicals, if you remember, that are what they call endocrine disruptors, meaning that they could actually impact the whole system of a child. And there was some experiments I remember with animals where they said they actually changed their gender or impacted their gender presentation. So, not just how they looked, obviously. They didn't, they're frogs or whatever. They didn't start wearing dresses, but their gender markers were impacted by these. And now, according to this one Korean newspaper, they're being found in kids' clothing that are sold on some of these Chinese e-commerce platforms. So probably don't get your kids' clothes from Temu or Shein or AliExpress. Apparently they found up to 622 times the limit of what's allowed in Korea. I don't even know. I think the Trump administration has really backed off of regulating these, so you're going to have to keep track of it yourself. But again, these are all the stealthy things that are happening while we're thinking about, I don't know, the Jeffrey Epstein files or World War III. They're synthetic chemicals. And there was a study that was dropped recently that was published in CNN. Says that more than 10% of all global deaths from heart disease in 2018 among both men and women may have been partly due to these chemicals, because they inflame the whole system, including the coronary arteries. And so if you have any kind of disease, heart disease, or tendency towards it, it will get worse. And these are chemicals that are found in things like bubble baths. They disrupt testosterone. That's what it is. I was saying it really awkwardly. But in children, that can change their gender development. In adults, apparently it can, testosterone is a predictor of adult cardiovascular disease. So if your testosterone is disrupted by these phthalate chemicals, they've linked them to reproductive problems. Okay, here we go. Genital malformations. Why would you put something in bubble bath for kids that causes genital malformations? And undescended testes in baby boys, lower sperm counts, and testosterone levels in male adults, asthma, childhood obesity, cancer. There's the list. So these are the things, and this is according to the American Chemistry Council. It's not my cool, holistic friends. It's not RFK. This is according to the American Chemistry Council. And it's so ironic to me that while RFK is over here stopping people from getting COVID vaccines, if they want them, they're steadily deregulating phthalates. They're colloquially known as everywhere chemicals because they're in PVC plumbing pipes, vinyl flooring, rain and stain resistant product, medical tubing, garden hoses, and even some children's toys. So you have to look out. You can buy products that say they're phthalate free, but this administration is backing off of the regulation of these chemicals. They're in shampoo, soap, hairspray, cosmetics. Apparently they make the fragrances last longer. That's what they call them everywhere, hairspray. So when you breathe in contaminated air or you eat or drink foods that have come in contact with plastic that has these phthalates, all of these things can happen to you. And now they're saying heart disease. And so while the Trump administration is, have as many everywhere chemicals as you want, but no, you can't have a COVID vaccine even if you want it. It just shows you how bass-ackwards these folks are. Birth defects, cancer, reproductive harm for men. This is what Prop 65 in California was around because it makes companies tell you if they have everywhere chemicals. But that's only here in California. It's pretty grim. Those are something I've been tracking since my since my son was little. Because it's the kind of thing that, as a parent, you want to know. If you're putting your kid in a bubble bath, it's going to make their genitals deformed. That's something you would want to know. Let's go to Fred, calling us from LA. Good morning, Fred.
Hello, Dominique. Can you hear me now?
I always hear you, Fred.
Okay, well, I heard you, but you couldn't hear me last night. Two things. Your two colleagues, Tavis Smiley and James, at birthday boy 52. Tavis Smiley said he tried to compare the Minnesota, the deranged young man, with the D.C., Trump bringing out the feds in D.C. How do you compare the two? He thinks Trump should send the D.C. people to all the other white cities. How do you compare the two with the deranged?
No, what he was saying is that, from my understanding, and I'm not going to speak for Tavis, you have to write to him or call him to get his response. But my interpretation of what he said was that there is a shooter on the loose killing people, that is an indication that you have a crime problem, which means he should have the same standard for cities that don't have white mayors as cities that have black mayors. And under his crime problem formula, he should be sending the National Guard to Minnesota. That's what he was saying. That was my understanding. Because, it was really the one carjacking of the the Doge dude that really prompted the D.C. takeover. So
I think that was in the making for a while, but go ahead, please.
Whatever, that's what the administration has admitted to, so I believe that was Tavis's rationale. But like I said, I don't speak for him. He does a great job speaking for himself.
Okay, James, the birthday boy, 52, I didn't get his name. You and
James
him
Farr. Now you call him the birthday boy. That's hilarious.
Well, you lived him on his birthday. about it, and I didn't see anything.
I think
about
his
it.
birthday
Anyway,
is tomorrow or the next day or something. But anyway, yes.
Anyway, last time you talked to him, you guys talk about it. He says that the police harass young black men more than they harass young black women. I have to agree with him on that. I got two sisters, and they've never told me about being harassed by the police. But I think everybody young these days are getting off light. So let me give you three scenarios that you guys didn't face in the 60s.
I think
70s.
we might have time for one or two, but go ahead.
Okay, you can't drive down Wilshire Boulevard going to UCLA if you were a black man, because the Beverly Hills Police Department wouldn't allow that.
They still don't.
You could get a job on the midnight shift or get an entry-level job, but if you were leaving the inner city, you got to take the bus with a sack lunch in your hand and let the police stop you. Then they're going to tell everybody in the division, and then they're going to stop you every night and try to make you lose your job. And then the last one, if you do keep your job and you turn 21, your credit union will finance your car. Don't be 21 and buy a brand new car in the 60s and 70s. The police thought that was illegal. So the young people are getting off light these days. Thank you, Dominique.
Well, I appreciate the perspective. I think there's two things in what Fred said that I find informative. One is that things are getting better, which means when we fight, we win. I mean, we're in the middle of a regression right under this administration, so it can seem like things are not getting better, but the moral arc of history leans toward justice. So that means when you look at the big picture, it's long, but it leans towards justice. We still have more rights than we had in the 50s. Trying to keep it that way is another story, but as of now, we still have more rights than we had in the 50s. Point taken, Fred. To say young people today have it easier, I think it reflects a lack of understanding about the types of challenges that young people have today, and I think a lot of older Americans have that misconception because the challenges are different. Today's young people have to worry about things that you never had to worry about, like getting doxxed or having revenge porn spread all over on the internet, or being kidnapped by ICE agents, or having being cyber bullied and having their lives ruined by people creating false rumors about them. The kinds of pressures that come with social media and people comparing one life with another life, expecting perfection when no one is perfect and it's all an illusion. The mental health kinds of impacts of that, the mental health drag of the COVID pandemic. I mean, so many different things that your generation and then my generation didn't have to deal with. And there are different challenges. They're not as in your face, maybe in some ways. So it's easy to say, oh, well, we had it harder or you had it harder. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think that's right. I think young people today do not have it easier. Sure, that some things are easier for them, but some things are insidiously difficult. And I think if we're going to be fair and also thorough in supporting them in their success as adults, whether we be mentors or parents or just friends, is that we have to be in acknowledgement of that rather than minimizing and dismissing the kinds of challenges and threats that this generation faces. Fred called 800-920-1580. I invite you to do the same. We've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase offers tips for the local business owners in 2025. Small business landscape is ever-changing, and the Los Angeles market is no exception. A startup or legacy business, revisiting your mission statement and recalibrating offerings can renew opportunities for growth and innovations. Programs like Chase for Business Coaching for Impact gives entrepreneurs access to expert guidance, helping you streamline operations, strategize your growth, and navigate complex challenges. Businesses with a clear sense of purpose can navigate any challenge effectively, but also build stronger customer loyalty. Visit chase.com/coaching for impact for more information. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
It absolutely does win around here, 800-920-1580. So, yeah, this is what I was looking for. It's the Food and Drug Administration. They have removed some of what they call plasticizers from food regulations, so we can have more phthalates in our foods. And this is important because especially if you think about stuff like fast food and stuff that comes in plastic packaging, that seeps into the food, and that's how they end up in your digestive system. So they have reached a decision to loosen up those restrictions of when they can put those phthalates in your foods, in things that come in contact with your food. Now, I also found an article from a publication called Science Direct that talks about how when you got exposed to that in early life, that it can lower the volume of your gray matter in children. In other words, your brain tissue, right? So that means that it changes your brain composition, which is really crazy. Adverse neurodevelopmental outcomes, and from 2 weeks old to 7 years of age, it can make you have less gray matter, which is not good. And apparently it affects girls and boys differently in terms of what it does to their brain. But these impacts could change their ability to function well, especially in the first years of life where you have accelerated brain growth. Wow. Okay, we got to get off plastic. We got to get off plastic. No matter what the Food and Drug Administration says, we got to find a way to get off plastics. Shrinking the brain, shrinking the testicles, changing our testosterone levels, creating genetic mutations for our sex organs. These are not the kind of side effects you just kind of gloss over. 800-920-1580. Let's go to other Fred calling us from Crenshaw District.
Yeah, good morning, Dominique. How you doing, my sister?
Good morning. I'm blessed. How are you?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say about Robert F. Kennedy, he needs his behind work. 4 people have already stepped out from the CDC. It's just crazy. And then the thing about I'm sure you heard about the redistricting, right?
Yeah, we've been talking about it constantly. I guess you haven't been tapped in, yeah.
Well, I've been trying to a lot of legal cases. I'm helping people get their case together, and so I've been getting a lot of stuff from the recorders out of Norwalk. But we gotta say no to that thing on November 4th because see, Donald Trump wants to make California like he did Texas. This should be against the law for anybody to have fake maps. Isn't that crazy? Now he wants to get rid of mail-in voting. Have you heard about this?
Of course.
Isn't that crazy?
You got to keep up, Fred. You calling me, have I heard about stuff we've been talking about for weeks?
Okay.
Months.
Because I've been busy
but
a lot.
But here's the thing.
Okay,
got you. I got you. We don't have to do all that. But Fred, you're saying no on Prop 50. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. Tell me why. I mean, I know we think that redistricting that gerrymandering is bad and that California voted for an independent redistricting commission, but the way this legislation is set up, it has a sunset. It only lasts until 2030.
Yeah. What about the fact we may lose democracy? I don't want to see that go down the drain, do you?
No, but I don't, and I think we are in danger of that. But do you want to see Republicans with a permanent majority in the House of Representatives? That's one of the fastest ways to lose democracy.
Okay, well, when the ballot book comes out, then I'll guess I have the yes side. Maybe I'll change, but the way it looks now is no. And then one last thing, I know you have a lot of callers lined up. Did you hear that the federal government shut down on September 3rd? Wouldn't that be a nightmare?
I think it's October 1st is the deadline for the shutdown. That's what I'm reading. So Congress is back in session today. If they don't get it together by October 1st, we will have a shutdown, yes.
Wrong. All right, well, I'll start calling on my regular Tuesday, but a lot of times your boss say, well, she's tied up, so I'll call back Thursday. All right, you have a blessed week. I'm going to take care of a lot of business runs and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Fred. Time for news, traffic, and sports. Then we're talking parenting next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Michael Hardaway, the black former aide to House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, says Democrats are strategizing after RFK Jr. fired CDC Director Susan Menares for resisting his vaccine agenda.
RFK Jr. seems to have no idea what he's doing here as it relates to keeping the American people safe and healthy.
RFK Jr. will testify Wednesday before the Senate Finance Committee on Trump's health care plan amid growing calls for his removal. Tia Bell, a black 27-year-old mother of 9, was shot and killed last Thursday night in Chicago's East Garfield Park. She was standing outside with a man when a gunman opened fire. Bell died at Mount Sinai Hospital, and no arrests have been made yet. And Coco Gauff is out of the U.S. Open. The number 3 seed lost in straight sets to number 23 Naomi Osaka. It's Osaka's first Grand Slam quarterfinal since 2021. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, they've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself. Shop your local Nissan store and NissanUSA.com today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Naomi Osaka is playing like a Grand Slam tennis champion again. Osaka, the number 23 seed at the U.S. Open, eliminated Coco Gauff, the number 3 seed. Osaka needed only 64 minutes to beat Gauff 6-3 and 6-2. Gauff had 33 unforced errors. Osaka, a 4-time Grand Slam champion, is in the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam event for the first time in 4.5 years. She faces Karolina Muchova of Czechia on Wednesday. Venus Williams advanced to the quarterfinals of the doubles competition at the U.S. Open. The 45-year-old Venus and Leylah Fernandez beat Ekaterina Alexandrova and Zhang Shuai 6-3 and 6-4. Venus and the 22-year-old Fernandez had never played together before this year's U.S. Open.